know we talked a lot about performers this upcoming season. You said you just had your fantasy draft. So let's get a little bit of an outlook of what to expect. What you thinking? Sleepers, breakout players, who's the hands down guy that you need to have on your team if you have the first pick, everything and anything to know about fantasy in 2024-25.
I got you. I'll try and do it in a condensed version here too, because I know we're running up against the clock. But I feel like Victor Wembanyama, if you have the number one pick, I feel like that's your guy. And it's crazy to say because Jokic has dominated that spot for so long. And like, listen, Jokic went number one in my draft last night. Like if you go Jokic, I totally get it because you know that the thing about Jokic is he's going to play in games. Like the guy does not miss time. Yeah. He doesn't really get injured. Like it's very like low impact on his, I don't want to say low impact on his body because people are banging around with him like crazy. But like
scratching his arms,
just scratching his arms and shit. Like, like, I don't want to say that. That would have been, misspeaking, but like, he's durable and he's going to play in games. So if you go with Jokic, I get it. But when you're playing in a categories league or even a points league, like Victor Wembanyama, those defensive counting stats are so valuable. And there are going to be nights where he has 8 to 10 blocks in a game. And all of a sudden, like that's going to win you a category for the entire week. Like, if you have one player get you that many blocks or steals in a single game, like I don't care if you have Jaren Jackson, Rudy Gobert, and Bam Adebayo on your team. Like you're not going to beat somebody that's getting 10 blocks in a single night. And the defensive counting stats are why, if I had the number one pick, I would have went with Victor Wembanyama. The breakout player is the one that I like talking about the most because I feel like over the last couple of years, you and I have done segments of this, and I feel like I've been pretty spot on. And I feel really good about this one this year.
Good hit rate.
Shout out to Scotty Barnes, man. Like he is going to have, I think he's going to have a massive season in general, like for no matter how you want to, what kind of like scope you want to put on it. But when it comes to fantasy basketball, he is going to have all the freedom in the world in that offense. They're going to use him as an offensive hub, as a passer. So those assist numbers are going to go up. He already brings it with rebounding. I feel like he is developing faster as a scorer and offensive talent than people even realize. And I think the field goal percentage is going to go up because of that. I think he's going to start taking and making threes a little bit more frequently than we've seen in the past because he has so much freedom. And then the defensive counting stats are always going to be there. If you have, exactly. If you have a guy that can get stocks, if you can have someone that can average a block and a steal per game, that is so valuable in fantasy that I feel like Scotty Barnes is going to be a player who I think he went like the third round of our draft last night. And I really think that he has the potential to even outplay like that as an ADP at average draft position. The rookie that I have my eye on, we already talked about him a little bit, so we don't have to go much deeper into that. But Zach Edey, I really do think, like Gil, you hit it on the head. Like his per 40 numbers are going to be crazy, and like even if the minutes aren't there, he's going to be someone that can boost your field goal percentage. He's going to get you rebounds. He's going to get you points. He's going to get you blocks. Like that's enough for me to like be like, all right, yeah, Zach Edey is going to be a solid fantasy player, fantasy contributor as a rookie. And then for sleepers, I had 3 names that I wanted to throw out there. One, Scoot Henderson. Do not give up on this guy yet. I really still believe
100%.
I've been there from day one, but like he came on pretty strong at the end of the year last year. And I feel like he's going to have an awesome year this year. That's a Trailblazers team that's still trying to figure it out, but they're still willing to hand him the keys. And they got some decent talent around him. I really think that Scoot Henderson is someone who he fell pretty far in our draft last night. Don't let him fall too far. I got high hopes for him. Another player is Brandon Podziemski. I just feel like he's someone who is going to step into a bigger role for the Warriors this year. I don't know if Buddy Hield's going to be their opening night shooting guard or not, but I feel like Pods is going to be someone who does a little bit of everything. He stuffs a lot of different categories. He's someone that I had on my radar last night. Didn't end up getting him, but I feel like he's someone to kind of as it gets later into the draft, keep an eye out for Brandon Podziemski. And then the last guy I got for you is Keontae George. And he's someone who
he was good last year.
He's probably going to tank your field goal percentage the same way that Pods and Scoot Henderson also would tank your field goal percentage. But I'm talking about guys that can fill up multiple categories. And Keontae George put up some pretty big counting stat numbers last year. He's going to be the starting point guard in Utah. That's a team that is going to be competitive, but they might not win like a ton of games. Like they'll probably be right on that play-in tournament range the same way that they were last year, but he's going to be running that offense. And again, he's someone who in my draft last night, like I think he fell like the 11th or 12th round. And I'm like, he should probably have been drafted before that. So Scoot, Pods, and Keontae George, those are the 3 guys to look out for. And then the last piece of advice I'm going to give, if you're playing on ESPN, go make your own rankings, because I swear, man, it was just a random number generator after like the top like 75 players. Make sure you go through and scroll down and see, all right, who's still available down here, because there were guys that I was like, what's Pascal Siakam doing down here? What's Jalen
Right.
Duren doing down here? Like, what's Jimmy Butler doing down here? What's Zion Williamson doing down here? And if you're not scrolling down, you're going to end up missing out on guys, and they're going to get drafted, and you're going to go, I didn't even know they were still available. So make sure you take the time to go through the rankings and make sure you got your own rankings in mind there. And that's my fantasy 3 minutes rundown.
That's here 3 minutes and words from the wise, because if anybody knows what they're talking about, it's Deuce Do right here. I wouldn't even thought about that. And you do already sound pretty excited about the team that you put together. So I'm excited to hear more about it and how they're doing. And we'll check in throughout the season on how those guys are doing, and if you make any major trades, since you are the GM extraordinaire this upcoming season.